Welcome to Hey That's Me, a commentary podcast. I'm Patrick Hotner.
I'm Brian Lynch. Hey, Patrick, who are our guests today?
Our guests today, Patrick Schumacher, Justin Halpern. We're watching the pilot of Harley Quinn, the HBO Max series that started on the DC Universe app, Brian.
What was your favorite DC Universe app TV show?
I think it was Swamp Thing.
Oh, mine was Harley Quinn.
Oh, okay. Can we take that again?
Sure. Hey, Patrick, what was your favorite DC Universe app show?
I think it was Swamp Thing.
Ugh, me too, actually. Me too. Yeah, these guys are great. Super funny, super smart. They turn a character I didn't really care about into a character I really care about.
Yeah. This show's very funny. They're on season 5 now. It's the final season on Max as of now. Who knows? Who knows about the future of the show?
Who knows about the future of America?
That's also a great point. Now that the dang Joker is running things, who would you compare the current administration to as far as Batman villains?
Oh, this is a great question and one that will not annoy some of our fans. I think...
You know what? That's fine.
I think Trump is Penguin-y.
Okay, sure.
I think either Penguin, by the way, like, you know, we're Batman 66 or the Batman.
Sure.
Or Batman Returns.
Mm-hmm.
I think...
Not Batman the Animated Series?
No, not really. Musk is more, not that he's in the administration, but he's in the administration. I think he's kind of Riddler.
Mm-hmm.
Like he dancing all about.
Yeah.
Who else do we got?
That's about it. Anyways, Brian, do you want to tell people what this show is?
No. And I think that J.D. Vance is probably the ventriloquist. Yeah, no, this is a podcast for people that miss DVD and Blu-ray commentaries. Patrick and I love them. We love listening to people that worked on TV shows and movies and learning about how they made them. And they don't really do that anymore because everything's gone streaming. So we are providing original commentaries with the cast and crew of movies and TV shows that didn't get a chance to do their own commentary.
We're providing a service to the world.
Mm-hmm. Patrick, what Batman villain would you be if you were a Batman villain?
I gotta say Egghead.
Why would you have to say Egghead?
I'm a big Vincent Price guy.
Well, I know, but you're not like Egghead.
Why not?
He's such a Poindexter.
Hey, it's kind of my vibe.
You're more Bookworm.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't even know who that is.
Oh, really? I think it was Roddy McDowell. Played him?
I think I could put it together who he is.
You're also a little bit King Tut.
Oh yes, I love King Tut on that show.
So do I. I think Mr. Freeze or the Joker were my favorite.
Yeah.
Or let's be honest, Catwoman was probably my favorite.
Of course.
But love that show. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about Harley Quinn. No. This show presents all new versions of characters we love in all new ways and does it in ways that I would never come up with or think of. And these two guys are brilliant and the show is fantastic.
And even though they're presenting new ways for the characters, they all make sense with those characters. You know what I mean? Like, it's not shocking new interpretations. They're interpretations that do feel correct, even if they are shocking in terms of what the words that are coming out of their mouth.
Right.
You know?
They're what we in the business call a why didn't I think of that moment?
Mm-hmm.
Because we watch it and guess what we say? Oh, you weren't listening, were you?
No.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's a brilliant show. These are amazing guys who they actually invited us onto the Warner Brother lot to do these, which is kind of exciting. True. It was really fun.
We should talk about our day there. We had a good day.
It was fun.
We went to the lot. We hung out in their Abbott Elementary offices, which, spoiler alert, may be an episode coming up down the line.
Yeah.
You know?
And by the way, my son went too, and he and I got a tour of the Abbott sets. You didn't get a tour of that?
No, I didn't, because we drove separately. And then we ate in the Warner Brothers commissary where Scooby-Doo and Shaggy yelled at Matthew Lillard in Looney Tunes Back in Action. I watched the clip again today. We were one table away from where that happened.
So close. We were so close to that happening.
I know.
But was anyone cool there? Oh, yeah, there were some cool people there, but we can't go into that. That's none of our business.
I don't want to go into it.
No, we might be banned from the lot if we say what we saw.
We did watch a movie being filmed very briefly.
Did we?
We walked by David Wayne's new movie being filmed.
Oh, that's right. First day of filming. First day of
filming for David Wayne's movie. Hopefully, future guest on the show. Would love to have David Wayne on here. We'll talk about a stupid and futile gesture.
Oh, that'd be great. Or, anything else he's done, because he's awesome.
It's true.
They were filming on the Gilmore Girls area. Can we say that?
Mhm.
Is that spoiler
Yeah.
territory?
I think that's fine.
But not Gilmore Girls related to the movie.
Are we becoming a scoop podcast?
Yes, I think we are. I think we
Are we the new Hollywood Dish?
Mm-hmm. I heard that Sean Connery does a cameo in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Wow. Do you know what Sean Connery's last film is?
Yeah, it's a cartoon. I forget. It's a weird
Sir
one.
Billy.
That's right. Yeah.
He plays a skateboarding Scottish grandpa.
Yeah. Because of course he does.
People should watch the trailer. If I remember, I will put the trailer in the comments below.
We should do commentary for the trailer for people on our Patreon.
I would love it.
Also, it goes along with like Orson Welles' last movie being Transformers,
Uh-huh.
and my last movie being Minions 3.
But they didn't know those were going to be their last movies.
No,
You're aware that you're
only one.
aware that you're being kicked out of Hollywood.
Oh no, I'll be dead. It'll be dedicated to my memory. I've asked them not to. If something happens to me.
Yes. If you go to Max, you can watch Harley Quinn, pull up the pilot. We're going to count down from 3 and say go, and on go, you hit play and you can watch along with us, or you could just listen to this like a regular podcast. It really doesn't matter. I think we talk a lot about the origin of the show and, you know, how the thing was made, so it's not totally incumbent upon you watching along with us, but feel free to do either.
Do what you want. We're not your bosses.
All right, here we go.
3, 2, 1, go.
All right, we're here. I'm Patrick Hotner.
I'm Brian Lynch.
And our guests are...
Patrick Schumacher.
Justin Halpern.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Too many
doing
Patricks,
well.
guys.
This is going to
Yeah.
be confusing. We're watching the pilot of Harley Quinn. I guess just to get it out of the way up top, like, how did this show... Did you guys pitch the show? Did it come to you? What was the origin story for Harley Quinn?
Yeah,
Not the character of the show.
it fell in our laps.
We created the character.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's
wow.
huge.
Yeah.
You guys
And
look
Batman.
great for your
It's
age.
The misconception is that this guy Bill Finger helped out. It was us.
Oh, cool.
We're 100. No, so we got a call in around I don't know 2016. I want to say from the then head of development for Warner Brothers Television, and she was like, "Hey, are you interested in doing an R-rated serialized animated Harley Quinn?" And we were very much interested in that. And so immediately got to work on a pitch that kind of just became, what if Mary Tyler Moore were a psychopath? Wanted to kind of make like a workplace comedy with it. And we pitched it all the way back in 2016 and then had to shelve it for a year because we were put in charge of this show called Powerless on NBC, which was a workplace comedy live action that actually took place in the DC universe. We didn't create the show. We ended up running it, lasted a season, and we begged Warner Brothers to let us, pick back up with Harley. Don't give it to anyone else. I know you guys have like release dates and things like that you might be chasing, but they were, true to their word, and they let us wait a year. And waiting a year actually ended up really benefiting us because that was the birth of this streaming service called DC Universe,
Right.
Oh, yeah.
which was a DC Comics specific streaming service, very niche. And they were like, hey, if you guys want to do 26 episodes of this show, we'll do it right now for DC Universe. Or Netflix and Amazon are interested in like a pilot presentation. And we were like, well, bird in the hand, maybe nobody will ever see this. Let's do DC Universe.
Sure.
Now,
Shocking that DC Universe failed with that
Yeah.
business model.
So how many... Did you do 2 seasons with them, or how long
we
were you-
did 2 seasons with them, but
Yeah.
the nice thing was we did both seasons before the first season even came out.
Oh, wow.
So we were able to like write the whole thing without having to hear any fans in our ear
Yeah.
or any expectations or anyone even really knowing what it was going to be. And we could kind of just do what we wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they give you a lot of oversight? Just because, like, they're a new service, not a lot of people are watching it. Like,
There was
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it was like the Wild West because they did not have the infrastructure that you might have at a typical like network.
Yeah.
So they didn't have like broadcast standards and practices, which is why we say fuck 21 times in this particular episode. And they actually instituted a fuck count after this episode.
Also, everybody just kept getting fired.
Yeah.
So it was like somebody be ahead of the DC, and then they get fired, and then somebody be the new head of DC, and they'd get fired, and no one even really at one point we said we were like, who is the executive on this, and no one could point to them, and
Yeah.
so we sort of it was just us and Warner's Animation.
Wow.
And, we get along great with Peter Girardi at Warner Animation, and he got the show, and he knew what we were trying to do, and so he just supported us in doing it. And we had, very little pushback because nobody was, tending the chicken coop.
So you guys are the longest tenured DC employees at this point, right?
That's correct.
Oh, okay, cool.
We've actually gone through, I want to say 3 different regimes at DC.
Wow.
And this is our, Max is our second network for this show, and hopefully the show, continues on possibly at a different network, because as Max is advertising now, this is the final season.
Maybe they'll
as far
bring
as
back
we're
the
concerned,
DC
it's not.
Universe app.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah.
We'd love that. But there wasn't a lot of oversight. The only thing that DC really seemed to care about big time was protecting the integrity of what they called the Big Seven, which was at that time kind of like Snyder's Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
So, Superman, Wonder Woman, Batman, Aquaman, Cyborg, Green Lantern, Flash.
Doomsday.
And of course, Doomsday. And so, but we're looking at Commissioner Gordon right here, voiced by Christopher Maloney.
Yeah.
Hilarious.
He's so good on it.
So good, so unhinged, such a good comedic actor, and Diedrich Bader's Batman, of course, and he has played a couple different iterations of Batman. But back to Commissioner Gordon, that was a character that they definitely had some thoughts on, because we were like, okay, our characterization of him is he's a guy who every day of his life is living through the film Seven.
Right.
He's seeing babies in microwaves every day of his life. So, and he's also going through a horrible divorce, and he's taken to drinking, and his life is an absolute mess. And so that's the way we wanted to portray him. We got a lot of pushback, all the way through animatic, and then we were like, okay. And this was from both DC and the studio. I think they were definitely worried, and then we ended up begging them to let us focus group test a handful of animatics, one of which was a later episode, which sees Gordon befriend the severed arm of Clayface, which becomes sentient and is given to him as a piece of evidence for a crime that the Harley and her crew commit.
The classic tale.
Yes.
The classic tale.
Boring.
and then Gordon befriends the Hand because he's the only one who will listen to his marital woes. We tested the thing. The audience were all self-proclaimed DC superfans, so they're going to be the harshest critics, ostensibly. It was the highest testing pilot that this company, or highest testing group of episodes that this company had ever seen. Maybe it was the first batch of episodes they ever tested. Maybe I don't know. But it went quite well and bought us a lot of goodwill from the studio.
Where did they find the superfan test group?
That is a great question that I asked when we were there, and they didn't answer.
I think it was 4chan.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Perfect place to look.
Yeah, they had broken it into 2 groups, which was just fans and then super fans.
Wow.
I guess super fans are probably someone who had sent something offensive to someone on Twitter, and that was as soon as you any involuntary. What are incels?
Incels, yeah.
We also already messed up, and Justin had an opportunity to say, "Hey, that's me."
That's true.
Because Man-Bat. And now I don't know that you actually voiced Man-Bat in the pilot. I think he just sort of sniffed. But moving forward, there he is in the background.
Yeah, I didn't voice that Man-Bat.
Justin actually, his screech is pretty. I don't know. You want to do it?
You should probably do it.
I can do it.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's my Man-Bat. That's the only character I voice in the entire show.
Wow.
Patrick, can you do a
It's like
screech?
he's here in the room with us.
He is. He's right there.
I could
Patrick,
not
do
do
it. No, I want the good
Oh,
Patrick.
the good Patrick. That's
You want me
you.
to
Yeah,
do-
just see how you would do it.
See,
Pretty
that's
good.
why I
All right.
did
It's
it.
pretty good, though. It's pretty good. Can Man-Bat have a brother in the season 6?
Maybe call him Atman.
Oh, not bad.
Oh, that's good.
In terms of casting, there's so many insane people in this show. Did you guys have ideas going in on who you wanted, or was that fully a casting person's thing, or
It was a little of both. I mean, certainly there were some people where we were like, "Hey, Ron Funches, do you want to play King Shark?"
Yeah, yeah.
And he's like,
Tudyk.
"Yeah."
We had worked with Tudyk on Powerless. We had
Yeah.
worked with Ron on Powerless.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, we're uncreative, and we just want to work with people we worked with most recently.
But also, I mean, Brian, as you could probably attest, actors are much easier to get when it's for something animated.
Sure,
Because they know they
absolutely.
can just come into the booth and fuck around for an hour and knock out 4 episodes of your show and get paid and
Yeah.
not have to be in makeup or anything like that. And so, I love casting for animation because it's like
Yeah.
when you cast for live action, you're like, what about Kate Blanchett,
and you're like,
and
you have-
then you end up with someone who no one has ever heard of because you have 18 passes later.
Or it's
You
like,
get-
yes, you have 45 minutes with her on this Saturday in October. Yeah.
But animated shows, you can be like, what about this huge star? And they'll be like, yeah, sure, I'll come do it for 30, 45 minutes.
And Ruth and Robert, who are our initial casting directors, did a fantastic job wrangling people. And also shout out to Dean Laurie, who co-wrote the pilot with us and ran seasons 1 and 2 with us. Dean came from like Arrested Development, so he's kind of how we got Tony Hale as Dr. Psycho, and several other people. But once we had Kaylee locked in, I think the acting community was like, oh, this is like legit.
Yeah.
And then it was like this snowball effect. We had Lake, and then it was
That's how casting is just in general. It's sort of like when somebody's having a party and you're like, will so-and-so be there? And if they are, you're like, okay, then I'll go. But if you're like, wait, I'm not going to know anybody who's there, I'm not coming.
Patrick, you don't understand. Parties are like when friends get together.
Oh, okay, great.
hang
Thank you
out.
so
Yeah,
much.
Sure.
Thank you for
you
calling
gotta
me
try
Bad
it.
Patrick, too. I appreciate it.
Just for this.
Yeah. How many people did you have in the writer's room for season 1?
about 10.
No, 8.
Wow.
Okay.
We had 8 in the
Guys,
writers'
which was it?
room.
Including us.
Including us. Yeah, we had 8. Well, also, when you do, this was unfortunately, a tag show, the Animation Guild show, and not a Writers Guild show. And so it was a lot harder to get. All of our writers were WGA writers who were in between jobs. And so we sort of had to make these deals where we'd be like, hey, you're not exclusive. If you want to go off, if you get a job on a WGA show, then you can bounce and then come back. And we were raking this show for so long that some writers were on the show, got a WGA gig. That gig ended. They came back to the show after it.
Wow.
So that's how long animation takes. But yeah, we started with 8 writers, but over the course of 2 seasons, and we never fired a single writer, and we had 17 writers.
Wow.
Over the course
great.
of
Wow.
2 seasons. Because just people keep cycling in and
Yeah.
out.
Now, does it stay a tag show for the whole run because it starts at that?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess historically a show like Rick and Morty has flipped to WGA, but that was
Doesn't
that was a
happen
struggle.
often.
We certainly asked every year
Yeah.
if we could make it happen, and no.
Were you guys fans of this character? Like big fans before you got asked to pitch on it?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fair to say that I'm the comic book nerd of the two of us. Justin is the sports guy.
Oh.
And
I'd like to think I'm more than that, but
No,
No.
considering we've never made a sports show, I'd love to consider I'm more than that. But
She does pick up a bat in this episode.
yeah,
that
And
was
it
me.
changes her
He
life.
had,
That
he had
was
a lot
me.
Of notes. He had a lot of
Actually.
notes on how she swung.
I
at the
did
mechanics.
actually. I actually
That's
did.
the only note you had.
But yeah, I think it's fair to say that Justin over time really became a super fan. Although you did grow up watching Batman the Animated Series, as
Yeah.
did I, which obviously is inspiration, especially the making out in Batman the Animated Series. We took a lot from that.
But we had a mix of in our writers' room. It was like because I loved Batman the Animated Series. I loved the old X-Men series from the '90s. Other than that, I had very little comic book knowledge at all. But we both sort of love those. But our writing staff was a mix of people who didn't give a shit about comic books and people who were like obsessive fans.
That's
Yeah.
probably good.
I
right?
thought
Sure.
so.
Yeah, people would ask is Captain America Marvel or DC? And I would faint.
Yeah. And you would call DC and double check.
By the way, at one point, because in our show, Bane is a fucking idiot,
Yep.
and we all loved it. And Pat was like, "But Bane's the smartest man in Gotham."
He is
and
very
he was
smart.
so mad about it. And then at one point, Pat was like, "Maybe at the end of the series, we reveal that Bane was doing like a Kaiser Soze, and he's actually really, really smart."
Oh, sure.
And everyone was like, "Shut up."
Yeah.
Was that the biggest fight that's happened on this show between you two? I want to get into it.
I don't think we fought on this show.
We did truly get along on this show.
Wow.
I think we've been writing partners for 23 years.
Wow. How did that start?
One letter at a time.
Oh.
We met each other interning the summer of 2001 at a Band Apart Quentin Tarantino's production company. We worked in commercials and music videos. I was at University of Texas student. Justin was at San Diego State. We just like happened to live like 5 blocks from each other in Westwood that summer. Became friends. The first movie we saw together was Pootie Tang, and we bonded over that. And I think we were sort of like fast friends at like right toward the end of the summer. Stayed in touch, and then I moved out in 2002 to LA to work in commercials and music videos, and then Justin finished at San Diego State in 2003, and I actually got to co-write. This is how fast and loose they played at San Diego State. I co-wrote and co-directed Justin's senior thesis film, even though I was not enrolled in the university and had graduated from a different university.
State schools, baby.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What was the project that you guys did together?
Oh, it was a musical called Genital Warts the Musical.
Oh.
Right.
Yeah.
It was like a total, like, I think he and I at the time were like really into like Orgasmo and like the South Park stuff, and that was kind of like our ripoff of that.
Yeah.
But people can watch that on
Never,
Max?
anywhere, no.
Yeah.
Criterion has. Is
I don't
releasing-
even own a copy
It's
of
just
that.
playing at Planned Parenthood.
We shot it at Planned Parenthood.
We did.
Wow.
Yeah. Little movie history for you. But yeah, we did that, and then we just started writing a bunch of stuff together. Tried to break into features with zero success, and just did it for like 7 years with day jobs, and then back in 2009 we were each running a website under the same network. Justin was running. It was at the time Break Media, which became Defy Media, and Justin was running a website called Holy Taco. That was like a comedy site, and I was running a website called Screen Junkies, which is now like a YouTube channel. And at the time, Justin had to move back home. Long story, but he was working for like Maxim magazine after Holy Taco, and he moved down to San Diego. Ended up having to move back in with his parents, and for like non-financial reasons, your now wife broke up with you at the time, and you had nowhere to go, so you moved in with your parents.
My now wife.
Yeah, now wife. It worked out, but he started making his AOL Instant Messenger messages, stuff that his dad was saying to him while he was living at home, and that became Shit My Dad Says, a Twitter account in 2009. And I want to say like within like a month, you had like 200,000 followers and got a book deal out of it. And
The good old days of Twitter.
Yeah, wow.
and then like lo and behold, studios came looking for that IP, and like it was this weird role reversal thing where they were like, hey, do you guys want to adapt this? And really it was like, hey, do you guys want to give this IP, or Justin specifically, do you want to give this IP to Tina Fey to adapt? And we got an agent out of it, ICM. We're still with Chris Von Getz, who's now our manager. He's left the agenting business, but he was like, no, you guys are going to write it, and maybe co-write it with somebody, but you guys are going to write it. That was the first time we ever met with Warner Brothers Television, who we're with to this very day under a contract. And they hooked us up with the guys who co-created Will and Grace. And like we walked into the meeting with those guys like, this should probably be like a single cam on HBO. And we walked out of that meeting like, this should be a multicam on CBS starring William Shatner.
Right.
And that's what it became.
Right.
It was on for about 18 episodes, but that got us into the industry. And we've been writers ever since, writer-producers.
That's a great story.
By the way, we just passed one of the jokes that I think kind of like, for me at least, set the tone of the show of like what I wanted it to be and what we had sort of pitched it, which is like, she says after she set up this whole thing to show Harley that the Joker doesn't love her, and she falls into the acid. It's actually like margarita mix. And then she makes this joke about how she spent her Saturday at Costco getting all the margarita mix. And for he and I, our pitch was always like, the humor of the show will exist within the moments you don't see in the movies, right? So it's like, for the Joker to get those 2 boats that were going to blow up, it's like, he's got to go down to the boatyard, and then he's probably going to get something to eat. And like, and so for us, that's the humor of the show.
Were there things that they wanted you to emulate from the animated series and things they wanted you to stay away from, like the Batman the animated series?
I don't think
Yeah, they never
so.
specifically reference BTAS.
We did a lot.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
the
That's what I
that's
call
the
it
industry name for Batman, the animated series, BTAS.
But they did do, because once you make something Warner Animation, I'm sure you know this too, Brian. It's like it's on a server there, and so like certain people have access to that server, and so one time they were like, "We saw on the server Bruce Timm has watched it."
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
and then we found out later that he liked it.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, which was a relief.
Because it's on the server, are you afraid that Algae Rhythm is going to put it in the next
Always a risk at Warner
basketball game?
Brothers.
Okay.
Listen.
Yeah.
In the next basketball game, they've got another one planned. Character design. How much did you guys have to do with that? And
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so Shane
Glines,
Glines was our lead character designer on the show. And
Trained by Bruce Timm.
Yeah, exactly. He was trained by Bruce, and yeah, I mean, we had a bunch of input with it, sure. And then Jennifer Coyle, who was our supervising producer, and since day one, she was like queen of all animation on this show. She was essentially like a third or fourth showrunner. Because we came into this, we were like live action guys.
Yeah.
We didn't know the first thing. We had a very common misconception, I think, for live action people coming into animation is like, well, they're drawing everything, which means you can do anything.
Do anything. Yeah.
And then we learned what an asset count was and what reuse was and such. But Jen is someone who, I mean, she's a perfectionist, probably to a fault. She wouldn't say that. But I mean, she is such a perfectionist, so good at her job, and just the show would not be the show without Jen leading the whole animation
not even
team.
close.
Just a phenomenal person, and she just wouldn't ever tell us no, to the chagrin of everybody working with her.
But even like with Shane, and like one of my favorite sort of stories about Shane is sometimes the character design helped us figure out the character. And so, like for instance, we didn't start out with Bane being the Bane you see in this show. We had all kinds of different takes, and we were kind of trying to find a voice actor. And then Shane drew what he thought Bane looked like from our description, and I was like, I love the character design, and I was like, how did you come up with this? And he's like, well, I feel like Bane is a guy who like doesn't do leg day. And he just works out his upper body. And that was like, oh yeah, that's perfect.
That's
like,
very funny.
and that helped informed, I think, how we wanted the character to behave.
Yeah, which led to the whole thing about him wanting a chair with lumbar support because he's overdeveloped traps. And, yeah.
Who was the hardest character to find a new take on? Because all these characters are so different and original from what we know.
I mean, I think immediately Clayface popped in my head as like maybe the easiest because we'd been working on a pilot for a live action thing that dealt with a character who was an out of work actor who ends up getting alien powers to be able to shapeshift into anything, but she's still a terrible actor.
Oh, that's great.
And that was and when that didn't move forward, that concept for that character, we were like, well, that's Clayface.
Yeah.
And Tudyk is going to be Clayface and Joker. I mean, and then you have Tudyk, and you can just anything you give him is funny.
He doesn't have an asset count?
He doesn't have
No?
an asset
Okay.
count.
And now he's Clayface in Creature Commandos.
He
as well.
is,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
different version
Right.
of Clayface, a much grittier version. The hardest one, as far as like the villains goes, man.
I thought maybe Ivy, just because it was like we kind of had an idea what we wanted, and I think Lake's voice sort of helped direct. I mean, it became kind of more of like in the Daria vein, which we really liked. I don't know, maybe we sort of always had that general.
Oh, hey, that's me.
Hey,
that's me.
us.
Hey,
Hey,
Dean.
that's us.
Yeah, I think that's it. Oh, hey, that's me.
What did I mean, I know the show is basically still going. Like you're still working on the Kite Man and all that stuff. But what did you guys learn from this show that you took to other things after that?
We learned to change the name of our production company.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, this is when we started outlining in that way that we outline now.
That's true. Yeah, we do this. This carried over into Abbott. What a segue. So yeah, I think this is Justin's idea. So basically, traditionally, I would say in most TV writers' rooms, the writer of that episode is responsible for turning out the outline. So they go off for like 3 days, let's say, for half-hour comedy, write the outline, bring it back, we give notes, yada, 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 and then they go off and write the script for 5 days. What we do now, which was instituted in Harley, is that we gang write the outline and we assign out, like, Justin will oftentimes walk everybody through the pipe. So all the writers, just talking about the key kind of exposition that you need in the scene. People will pitch kind of jokes on the fly, and then we'll say, okay, you, Jess, you write the first scene, and then so on and so forth. And we go down the room, assigning individual scenes. Writers go off, write their scenes. They email them to the script coordinator, who Frankensteins them all together into an outline, and then we go through it as a group, and it becomes like this really efficient way of doing things that also ends up kind of engendering like ownership for everybody in everybody else's episode.
Well, I think also it's like when you only have one scene to do and you know it's going to be, because when they bring it all back in, I read it aloud and we go through it on the board. Yeah. So you're also incentivized to not have your scene suck, because it's going to be read aloud and everybody's going to be reacting to it in a comedy.
Energy goes out of the room for that scene.
Yeah, you know it, right? Yeah. And so it brings up a little bit of like pride in your work. That's not that writers don't have that, but over the course of a season, you can get really tired, and then. Totally. And then also everyone's head is in the script, but also, it's you're only having them do that one scene, so they're not exhausted. They can put everything into that scene. Mm-hmm. And so once the outline's done, it has tons of dialogue and tons of jokes, and we started that on here on this show, and
that's a great idea. That's great. Has that been done a lot before? Like.
Never on anything we were on.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, wow. It really has done well for us.
Well, thank you guys so much for doing this.
And no problem, Patrick. I'm part of the show, so
people come back in a few weeks, and we're gonna watch an Abbott Elementary episode with you. All right.
Thanks, bad Patrick.
Bye, good Patrick. Bye, Justin. Bye, Brian. A great show, Brian.
Do you mean our show or the show we watched with Patrick and Justin?
I would say their show is better than our show.
Oh, man.
Do you disagree?
I don't love that you put that in my head, that this show is not as good as Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Now I'm a little insecure.
Okay.
What can I do to make it better?
That's a great question.
Go to our Patreon and just tell me what I can do to make this podcast better.
Something that also we've never plugged is that people should go and leave us reviews on Apple Podcasts.
Only if you like it, though.
Only if you like it, and only if you're going to leave 5 stars.
Yeah,
the only 2 things.
Don't waste our time if it's 4. You know what I mean?
No, I really love this show. I hope they keep going after 5. Who knows? They also have the spinoff going right now, Kite Man. Hell yeah.
Yep.
Which is very funny, and that's also on Max. And people should go watch those, because supporting, animation is very important in this day and age, and I think supporting animation that is genuinely funny and doing its own thing, even if it is within an IP universe, if they're doing their own thing, I think it's something that should be commended and paid attention to.
It certainly is hard to do your own thing on an established IP like the Batman universe, and they do it every episode. It's a great show. It's really cool. We got to talk to them.
Brian, it was so good talking to you.
Thanks, man. Let's do it again next week.
I would love to.
Okay, great.
Bye.
All right, bye.
Thanks for listening to Hey That's Me Commentary Podcast. This has been a That Was Just So Funny production. Your hosts have been Brian Lynch and Patrick Hotner. Music was by Alex Peabody, and our art was by Abigail Noy. You can find out more about the show by going to heythat'smepod.com and checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/commentary. The show was recorded by Mark David Christensen. If you've enjoyed the show, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Please tell your friends about this show.
No!